Read the roll.
Counselor Olson.
Here.
Counselor Bridge.
Here.
Counselor Bender.
Here.
Counselor Stenberg. Counselor McDonald. Counselor Joyle.
Here.
Counselor Finsland.
Here.
Counselor Herrick.
Here.
Counselor McKenzie is excused. Counselor Brown.
Here.
9 present.
Recognizing a quorum will proceed.
Item number 3 is approval of the July 3rd regular council meeting minutes.
Second.
Heard the motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 6 is the consent agenda.
Second.
Heard a motion and second. Discussion. President Herrick.
Yeah, I'd just like to pull item 6.29.
6. I'll ask for the consideration of the rest of the consent agenda. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Item 6.29 is approval of application to amend the premise of a Class B liquor and beer license and a one-day cabaret by O'Neill's Pub and Liquor, 3333 Tower Avenue, Nancy O'Neill, agent, for a special event July 28th.
Yeah, my question was, Terry, on that, are they going to be going till 2 a.m. in the morning?
No, the music has to end at midnight.
It does, okay.
Yeah,
but-
that just allows them to get everyone off of the premise by
Okay, because I noticed
closing.
it said, 6 to, or
Yeah, their premise will be amended until 2 in the morning, but the music has to stop at midnight
all right.
by ordinance.
All right, thank you.
What is the pleasure on 6.29? Heard the motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 7.1, Public Works Director Getzman is recommending to award Donahue and Associates a contract to perform construction observation services for the East 2nd Street Relief Sewer Control Structure and the K Street Storm Sewer Reconstruction projects for $45,000. And you also have a handout tonight, which is the proposal for construction-related engineering services.
I ask the pleasure. You've heard the motion and second. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 8.1, Mayor Hagan is appointing Tom Waldakowski to the Civil Service Commission, Andrea Morrow to the Library Board, Don Bergman to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Terry, there's one more.
Did I miss one?
Mike Hughes.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Mike Hughes to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Heard the motion and second. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 10.1 is a resolution of the City of Superior approving the report of the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Superior regarding the development agreement with Anderson and Hammock Construction Company, and you have tonight a handout, which is the report from the Redevelopment Authority.
Discussion. Counselor?
Yes, Jason, did you want to explain a little bit more about what the purposes of this?
Sure, Counselor. Thank you. Been working with Anderson and Hammock for continuously about a couple of years, just looking at the site. It would be at North 3rd Street and Tower Avenue. A&H has been looking to kind of consolidate some of their operations, and was looking at this piece of property and kind of been on and off. And again, what they will be doing is in Phase 1, constructing a kind of an office and a small warehouse for kind of centralizing their operation. And then in Phase 2, they will be constructing a warehouse in kind of a garage setting, and also have kind of a customer relations type of location there. If you kind of looked at some of the terms, what we're doing there is we're selling the property. They will be, I think, writing us a check at closing it for $42,600. At the completion of Phase 1, we will be granting them $25,000, and if they do Phase 2, they will be getting the balance of that. So I think it's a pretty good deal. I think they're pretty excited. Those gentlemen, as you all know, do very quality work. It will be a nice-looking building. And Councilor Bender reminded me that Anderson Hammock was 2011 constructed or builder of the year in the state of Minnesota. So it's a pretty big honor. So good company. Glad to see them staying in Superior and kind of centralizing their activities. So thank you.
Say, Jason, one more thing. I guess it would be page 1 after the table of contents, under the development agreement, under recitals, second paragraph, second paragraph, whereas the company has expressed an interested in. That should just be an interest in purchasing.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Just shouldn't be in the
noted.
past tense.
Any
It's
further
a noun.
discussion?
Another teacher.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Item 10.2, you have before you tonight an updated resolution providing for the issuance, sale, and delivery of $9,640,000 general obligation corporate purpose bond, Series 2012C of the City of Superior, establishing the terms and conditions therefore, and directing the execution and delivery, creating a debt service account therefore, and awarding the sale thereof.
What is the pleasure? Heard the motion and second. Discussion? I'd just personally like to thank Gene Vito and Mr. Tofty from Freiberger for the excellent work they've been doing on this, as well as others moving this along, as well as the savings to the city with regard to the market that's out there. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Item 10.3, you have tonight before you an updated resolution of the City of Superior relating to the issuance and sale of general obligation promissory notes and/or a state trust fund loan for storm damage projects not to exceed $5 million.
What is the pleasure? Heard the motion and second. Discussion. Councilor Olson.
If we were to get FEMA money, would this change?
That's a good question, Counselor. And the recommendation I would have with this is that, I guess I'll back up. We're looking at our storm damage estimates to public infrastructure. It's just topped $4 million, and that number has changed dramatically in the last couple of days, because one of the items is our CSTP2 building down at the wastewater plant, and with the flooding, it filled with sediment, and we need to dredge that out, and that's the biggest ticket item that we have, $1.5 million right there. So originally, this resolution was worded as up to $2 million, and that was at a point in time where we had only identified maybe $750,000 in damages. So first of all, we wanted to make sure we were covering what we would need. And then to answer your question, once we hear if we've reached the limits for FEMA funding, then I would recommend that when that money comes in, if we do get FEMA funding, that it goes back to paying the principal of this loan. And then the other sources as well, because we may get funding from either the state DOT or the flood disaster fund with the state. So we've got probably 3 different funding sources that we're looking at tapping into. So whatever we would need to issue in debt, I would recommend that obviously when the money comes in reimbursing us, that goes right back to the debt.
And just one more question then. Are we able to encompass the uninsured damage at the Jim Danhill Library for the threshold of FEMA?
I believe, yes, that is kind of why it was being reconsidered. Initially, we didn't think that in our community we would reach the limits, but when we found out the damage that the university was incurring, quickly changed the picture. You're welcome.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 10.4 is a resolution introduced by the Common Council concerning the Wisconsin DNR Compliance Maintenance Annual Report for 2011.
For the motion and second, I'd like to bring to the attention of the council on that report, page 20 of 32 will list a series of enhancements, projects with regard to sewage treatment plant and other projects, for instance, the Tower Avenue reconstruction. I forget the amount, I don't have it in front of me, but Tower Avenue is $1 million. And those projects forward, from 13 forward, are not budgeted for, they would have to be under consideration by the council with regard to ESD budget and potential rate increases. Just for your, so it's full disclosure, that's what's out there. Gene?
Thanks, Mayor. I've been mentioning to the Finance Committee over the last couple of months that we'll be back to, or we'll have the agenda item for proposed wastewater rate increases coming back again for consideration. I don't think that will be any surprise to anybody. And indeed, what the mayor points out on page 20, these are some of the estimated projects that we see coming next year. And a lot of things are going on in ESD right now, and I know that the council is waiting for a report that we have forthcoming that was a review of some of the operations and the amount of capital outlay that we have going on in that system. So that's all coming out pretty soon. So a lot of information will be coming your way in the next, certainly in the next month. And then, just to prepare you, we'll be back on the discussions of the improvements that will be recommended for that utility. So kind of a heads up for what's coming this fall.
The good news with regard to both Tower and Belknap, those new sewers will relieve pressure in those respective areas with regard to flow. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 12.1, Kimberly Carr, Events Promotion Director for Town Square Media, is requesting to reserve Barker's Island August 16th through 18th, 2013, to bring the IWA World Series of Watercross Snowmobile Racing to the area. And there are members from that organization here.
Ms. Carr?
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Kimberly Carr. I'm with Town Square Media. I'm the Event and Promotions Director there. I also have Derek McFeeters, who is the President of the IWA, here to answer any questions, and then Mary Wallen, who's the General Manager of Town Square Media. What we are looking to do is bring the IWA to the Duluth Superior area, and we would like to hold it at Barker's Island, as we mentioned in the letter that we had sent. And so we are here to request that date and then answer any questions that you may have regarding the race and the event.
Bender.
Say, Kim, can you tell us a few more things as far as the logistics of the event, what you have planned, those type of things?
Mm-hmm. The event would be a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday, and it would consist of racing snowmobiles on water. The IWA is sanctioned racing, and they hold the events throughout multiple cities in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and then on the East Coast as well. As Town Square Media, we would be bringing the IWA here. We would charge the public to come in and see the race. We'd have other activities there, and then primarily the racing. We kind of sent a map, and so if I can describe it without having that map in front of everybody, is we would be looking at doing it in the similar areas as to where the Dragon Boat Festival is held. The racing would go off on the inland side in that small area, and then we would have vendor booths set up along the way for any spectator area along the beach there. We would need access to the landing and then access to the parking lot where the miniature golf course is, and then access to the green space for parking as well. It'd be a 2-day event that would have racing, vendors, family activities, that kind of thing.
Mayor?
Mr. Brown?
Where do the snowmobiles take off then? And I'm assuming they go down?
Yeah, it would be diagonally. There's a small beach just down from the landing area almost, and so they would go diagonally away from the marina towards the small bridge that you would drive over.
Okay, and where do they come out of the water there then?
And they would come back around to that spot where they start.
Okay.
There's two separate racing. There's a drag racing where they would go off straight and then come back, and then there's also an oval course. And so they would go around and then come back as well.
Okay, are they going to be tearing the beach up there? And
Hello, Council. Thank you for your time. Again, I'm Derek McFeeters. I'm the president of the International Watercross Association, and I can kind of answer some questions about the actual racing. There will be, I guess, a little bit of damage. It's really, you do have snowmobile tracks that are obviously spinning when you take off, so there will be a little bit of damage that would get raked in post-event wise, so we'd fill that back up. It's really not going to trench anything or displace any dirt. It'll just kind of move it back, and then we just rake it back in manually.
It's the policy of the IWA to return it to its original state.
And then actually, like the drag race portion, we would not be landing on land after the sleds cross the finish line. We would circle back on the water and then come back to where we land. And then also in the oval program, we will also turn back around. We'll be racing NASCAR style on the water, and then we would return to where we start from.
okay. And then you have insurance and everything?
Yes, we are insured by the ISR, which is the official regulatory agency for snowmobile racing. We have a $3 million policy non-aggregate limit, which is, if you're familiar with racing programs, most people usually have a $1 million, $3 million aggregate limit, where we have an unlimited aggregate limit. Our safety record is also impeccable. We are the only snowmobile race organization that has never had a major injury or fatality.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Mary?
Thank you. Really good questions, counselors. I just want to point out that they're asking you to reserve the date for their event in advance of January 2nd, which is when we normally start taking reservations for the island. But they will also be moving through our regular special event permitting process, which has insurance requirements. We need to know what sort of city services they might be interested in. There are some associated fees with those. And all of our reservations require that the property be left in the way it was found. So just know that there's a permitting process. You're not agreeing to, the date will be held, but until they get that signed permit, they don't have permission to conduct the event. But I still think it's really good for you to ask questions. They certainly want to answer all your questions. So I think the main thing that you'll want to consider is the matter of the noise, because you've had some issues on the island about noise. So maybe that would be something you want to address with them this evening.
Happens that I have a question about that. Say, Kim, what music are you planning on having either for the Friday or the Saturday?
We're not planning to have music in the evening. It would just be in between racing that there would be music played.
So it'd be over by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
Yeah, absolutely. Racing will begin around 10 o'clock generally, and then on Saturday it tries to be done by 5 o'clock, and then on Sunday it tries to be done between 4 and 4:30. And so music would be done around that same time as well.
President Herrick?
Yeah, just another question referring to the environment for those environmentalists out there is, let's say a sled goes in the water, are they pretty safe as far as any fuels coming out into the water, so on and so forth, and what do you have to protect against that?
Yeah, definitely. We have a set environmental standards that are written into our bylaws, and actually I'll kind of give an example. We used to hold a race in Wild Rose, Wisconsin, and it was actually on a mill pond, which is a Class A trout stream. It was non-motorized lake. The DNR did water quality samples before we were there and after we were there and could find no significant differences in water quality. And this is on a Class A trout stream. Last year, also, the Wisconsin DNR at our World Championship race in Grantsburg, Wisconsin, which is coming up next weekend, they did a water sample test and could also find no significant difference in water quality. We do run, it's not technically a sealed gas tank, but what the gas tank allows water to enter the gas tank, and it does not allow gas to exit the gas tank. So that way we don't run into any pressure issues with snowmobile sinking. We also run a biodegradable chain case oil, and we also run biodegradable antifreeze. So we have less environmental impact than, say, like a 1970s 10-horse Johnson, if you've ever seen them. You know, you get the little oil ring and stuff. With ours, you could stand right over a sunken snowmobile and you wouldn't see any fuel.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. In your planning and experiences from past events, can you, or do you anticipate the number of entrants as well as the number of attendees?
Yeah, I can kind of give, in a typical race weekend, we have typically anywhere from 50 to 75 drivers, and they can race multiple classes. So entries can anywhere be between 85 individual entries to about 100 entries, and that's with some of the drivers racing multiple classes with different machines, but typically anywhere from 55 to 70 drivers. Attendance-wise, our World Championship race, which is our largest, has a draw of 18,000 over a 3-day weekend. A typical race is anywhere between 2,500 and 7,500 fans.
Okay. One more question. Will local vendors be welcomed with regard to food and such?
Yes, absolutely.
Town Square Media, just so that you know, we're not a promotions company from out of town. You may know our local brands, and our local brands are B105, Mix 108, Cool 1017, and ESPN WABC. Special Events LLC is an arm of our company, and so if you had the pleasure of being at the 38th Special concert a few weeks back at the Clyde, that was something we brought in. And so we deal with local businesses, local vendors, local employees in the community.
And then I would just like to add, too, we also have, in our membership, we have 8 drivers from the Superior area. So there's also local drivers that would be involved as well.
And if I can just add one more cell line, because that's the nature of my business, is that this has gained world-class notoriety. The first race this summer was held in Moose Lake, and the Wall Street Journal on their blog had film as well as reports, and then the other was the
Weather Channel.
The Weather Channel as well. So it does have international following, and I did make a comment this earlier to Councilor Bender that they even hold this event in Ely. So if you're worried about environmental effects, if they can get it to pass in Ely, we should be good in the Duluth Superior area.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Brown?
Yeah, and I guess if you did want to have music down there, you know, we have the pavilion down there. And for the Dragon Boat races, they have music down there on those evenings. So at future events, we hope this becomes something big, a nice draw for Superior, and bring people to Barker's Island. And I hope everything works well for you.
Yeah, that's our hope, too, is to make this an annual event and continue to grow it and add days to it and evening activities and things like that.
Thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
We don't have a motion.
Oh, there's no motion. Motion in multiple seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. If there's no further business to come before this body, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We stand adjourned.